So, Robert, you were born in Swansea, in Wales. You, I'm not giving anything away. You don't exactly sound like you've come straight from the Eisteddfod. What happened to the accent? How long have you been away? Why are you still not in Wales?
Well, I mean, I'd love to be in Wales. No, I left Wales when I was 5 years old. We moved to Somerset, schooling, and then, came to London, as so many people do, at the age of 18, to go to university. I've been back to Wales quite a lot. I've worked in Wales quite a lot. I was very, very lucky enough to work for the great Terry Hands, or the late Terry Hands, who founded the Royal Shakespeare Company, and was the artistic director at Theatre Clwyd for a very long time. And I was very lucky to be in the company there and worked with him and learnt so much from him.
Stuff. But your career predominantly has been away from Wales. Did you ever get people telling you that, you know, you should go down one direction, you should be a Shakespearean actor, or you should do comedy or whatever? Or has the business always been good to you in terms of keeping itself open for you to try different things?
Nobody's ever said, you know, follow a particular path. I've got to be honest, I think it's really a little bit of luck. And you, as an actor, you kind of take what you can get to a certain extent. I'm not in the privileged position where scripts are just piling through the door and I'm sifting through and thinking, no, I won't do that. And oh yes, I will do that. There are very, very few actors who are in that privileged position. I mean, obviously I've turned things down for various reasons. And it's nice for me, I think it's nice to have a balance between theatre, television and film. They are different. They're different to work on. They both have pros and cons. And I think and they both require different skill sets, actually, slightly. So I think it's good to keep both of those skill sets alive and to work on them if you can. And the problem is actors tend to get pigeonholed quite a lot. So I know I've got friends who've only done theatre and struggle to get any telly work or any film work. And that's such a shame because they would be fantastic, but they get pigeonholed and sure. People think they don't have the experience. The thing is with television and film sets, as you know, is that they cost an awful lot of money to run. And so I think they just want a sure bet that that person is going to be able to stand in front of that camera, deliver the lines, and they move on because they have a very short period of time in which to film things normally.
Strange question, but yeah. A few years ago, took part. I played a role in a comedy TV show, and repeat checks come through every year. My last repeat check for sales globally was 61 pence. What's the lowest royalty check you've ever had, and did you bank it?
That's a great question. There is actually an organising body called BEX that collects all the royalties for actors, and we tend to get a lump sum, but occasionally I do get an odd invoice from an ex-agent, and you know, for, you're right, £6.33 from, you know, Iran for Midsummer Murders. Midsummer Murders, incidentally, is the biggest royalty that I, not the biggest in terms of amount, but Midsummer Murders seems to be sold all over the world, and I've had people phone me up, you know, from Singapore and said, "I've just seen you on television. What's going on?" You know, and it's incredible. That show just goes all over the world. So, but yeah, no, royalties aren't as good as they used to be. I mean, the older actors than me, they're very fortunate. They do get the odd check, and it does help. But you're right, around sort of £6.30 would be my average.
Well, let's talk about Ataxia. And you have now thrown your hat in the ring. You're involved with Ataxia. You're aware of it. We're talking to you today because of it. Tell me what led up to you wanting to find out more.
Well, my mother has Ataxia, and my auntie sadly passed away from Ataxia about 3 years ago. And I remember I was visiting some friends and I had a bit of work to do, and I was a bit early. So I sort of sat in this pub and we'd had the funeral, and I just sort of looked out of the window and I thought I was going to sign up for the marathon. In fact, I did sign up for the marathon. I have run the marathon for Ataxia before, and I thought I'll do the marathon again. And then I don't know how I found out that there was a trustee position available, but it was in the back of my mind. And then I just looked out of this window in this pub and I thought, you know what, I really need to do as much as I possibly can. It's just one of those little promises you make to yourself. And it's not an insurance policy. I mean, I don't know whether it's coming my way or not. And it's by no means anything to do with that. It's purely because I felt I owed it to my auntie, and I owed it to my mother to try and do whatever I can for Ataxia UK. So I joined the board, and that's been a huge learning curve. But recently I've been fortunate enough to direct and produce some little films for Ataxia UK. So I was able to use my skill set and put it into the charity. And it is interesting because Sue always talks about, we need a balanced board. You don't just need a load of scientists sitting on the board, because you'll get a different charity from that. You need a balanced board. You need people with different skills. And so I'm very, very fortunate, and I'm learning a lot. And I'm certainly learning a lot about ataxia, especially as we made some sort of explainer films with various people in Sheffield recently, nurses, doctors, and people with ataxia. So it's been a real learning curve, and I'm still committed to the cause.
Great.
Very much so.
One thing I have noticed over the years of being involved is that the different types of ataxia have come together. The strength in numbers, that was never there before. But also each year we get tantalizingly closer to a cure, which is what we ultimately want to have. Do you think that being involved in ataxia will give you an insight into that, in terms of the hope, the kind of inspiration that people will feel from that hope from science every year? And where would you envisage that it would happen within your lifetime? I'm hoping it happens within mine, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I know that there are some trials at the moment that are very promising. People don't tend to talk about them too much in detail, because I guess for obvious reasons. There seems to be quite a lot going on, and there is a lot of hope. And that's the tone that the co-chairs are setting for Ataxia UK at the moment. They want it to be a hopeful situation for people and for the charity. Although, as we all know, it doesn't always look like that. And I sincerely hope that we can find a cure. That I know that that's why Ataxia UK was originally set up, to find a cure. And it's always been an interesting conversation as to how much Ataxia UK is there to support people, and how much it is to actually find this cure and to be pumping money into research. And obviously there's a balance, and that's a difficult balance to have. But I think it achieves that very well. But fingers crossed, those scientists have got their work cut out at the moment.
COVID, of course, has affected fundraising. It's affected us all getting together for this conference. How's COVID affected you? We know it's affected your business, obviously. We know that theatres aren't open, TV shows, films aren't being made, cinemas are closing down. But from you, in your personal life, how's COVID affected you?
I think probably, like most people, I feel very sad about it, I have to say. It has restricted just things like going on holiday. I did go on holiday this summer to France, but then the announcement was made when I was there, and then I had to isolate, or I was in quarantine for 14 days. And 14 days, and my partner had come back 5 days before. So basically she had to quarantine on her own. And so we didn't see each other for 3 weeks. And so, it has affected everybody. Mental health wise, I work a lot at home anyway. And so I'm used to that. I know friends are beginning to get a little bit fed up with working from home. They want to go back into the office. It's quite shocking. I had my first audition in London since the spring, since lockdown. And I drove up. I decided to drive up because I was driving down to see my parents in Somerset. the following day, and I thought, well, I've just got to be responsible. So, I never drive up to Covent Garden, but I decided to. And it's eerily quiet. There's not a lot of people going around. So it's affected that. I would probably go up to Covent Garden for meetings and things, probably, twice a week, and I would socialise in Covent Garden and Soho around there. But that's not happening anymore. So yes, definitely, it's put one into one's house.
Sure.
And that's. But I suppose, here's a thing. I know that some people with ataxia, that's what they have to live with all the time. So perhaps it's a bit of an eye-opener for us all.
Indeed. Well, hopefully it won't be too long till things get back to whatever normal is going to be, and we can all meet together at the next conference, please God. In the meantime, Robert, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to meeting you sometime. Take care.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, and good luck. Bye-bye.